All right, this video is for Nikki, and she wrote, so the thing I want to conquer is letting go. How do I let go of the old thoughts or bitches that have been holding me prisoner for years? How do I quit comparing to what I used to be and trying to recreate instead of building on something new? So this is such a huge thing. I've never met anyone who doesn't deal with having their past show up in their present and keeping them from creating the future that they want to create. And so in terms of this video and beyond, I'm just going to refer to this as your story. What you say about your past, what you say about your future, okay? Because we've talked about before how it doesn't really matter what happened or what happens. It only really matters what you say about it, what your perception of it is. So it's pretty obvious or pretty easy to understand that you can't change the past, right? But you can change what you say about the past. So there's a couple of things that has to happen. The fact that you recognize that there's something that you're not letting go, that's huge, because a lot of women, I mean everybody, but I work with women specifically, go their whole lives without realizing that they're holding on to past stories that aren't serving them anymore. And so the fact that you actually recognize that there's something that's holding you back from your past, or that you're not allowing to just be reconciled, that is massive. So now we just want to get really, really specific in terms of what exactly it is and what the story you are saying about it is what story you're saying is in your mind, and how can we reconcile it and discount it or take away the part that you really believe is true and that we can use to create that inspiration or find your inspiration, and then reconcile that as well. So the first part is identification. What do you want to let go? And this is the part of, we talk about awareness, but so identifying what you want to be aware of is the biggest part. What is it that you want to let go? So what is this story that you're speaking of that you want to let go? A story that I've mentioned many, many times was, my weight loss journey entailed a story that I saw myself as fat, and I saw myself fail a lot, and so in my present, I wasn't able to let that go. I had the shame of my body, the shame of the failed programs, a lot of things going on. But so until I was able to change my story about my overweight body or my unhealthy habits and just say them as such, it's the difference between saying I have fat versus I am fat, was I able to move into the future. And so what is the story that you're saying about yourself, and what is that story that is holding you back? And then why is it not serving your life? And you can feel that it's not serving your life, but it's really important that you actually identify what's causing you so much pain. What is not serving your life? So in the sense of my story, it was taking away any hope or faith or belief in myself to do what I needed to do. Because in order to do what I needed to do to change my body, I needed to have a certain belief in myself or faith that it would work, or who knows, there's a lot of things, or even just to suspend my disbelief. But either way, those were the things that weren't serving my life right now. So what about your old story is not serving your life? That's the second part. So first is identifying it so you can be aware of it showing up, and specifically what story you want to just let go of. And how is it not serving your life? Reminding yourself how it is actually negatively affecting the life that you're living right now. Because just a small little interjection is one of the reasons that we tend to hold on to our stories is because they're comfortable and they feel real and they feel safe because they're predictable. But we need to really, front of mind awareness, remind ourselves why they aren't safe and why they don't, serve us. And then the next part would be taking your story and finding the holes in it. What is not true about your story? So back to the same example, I used to overeat, but it didn't mean that I was never going to be able to control my eating. I was extremely overweight, but it didn't mean that I was a fat ass or a loser, or number of things that we call ourselves when we're feeling a certain way, right? So where are the holes in your story? What are you saying to yourself that is not true, or what are you saying about the story that's not true? Then what is true about it? Because part of it feels real, right? Part of it probably came from reality. So the reality of my story was that I didn't have a body that I was proud of. And that I wasn't eating in a manner or working out in a manner that would get me the body that I wanted. So there was truth to my story, but those things didn't mean that I sucked or was a fat ass or, was never going to succeed or any of those things. Those are the parts I interjected. So what's not true? Find the holes and then find what is true. And then how can you turn those truths? How can you reframe this story? Essentially, what's the new story? Because we have an old story. We need to replace it with a new story, So if I had a story growing up my whole life that Santa Claus was real, eventually if I was going to reconcile that Santa Claus wasn't real, I was going to have to replace it with a new story that it's just a story that people tell their kids and blah, blah, blah. Wait a minute. Sorry. If any of you guys don't know that Santa's not real, I was just kidding. Disregard this video. He might be real. I'm just throwing it out there. But you get the point. So what is the new story that you want to replace this old story with, So when I mean replace, I mean like now I can look back at my weight loss journey and say I didn't have control of my food. I never necessarily, adopted healthy habits. And the new story is, well, I was never taught healthy habits. And how would I have known what I was never taught? It's not an excuse. It's just owning everything that happened, the good and the bad, but with this truth element to it. So whatever you're not letting go of, I guarantee you the story that you're telling about it is the story of the bitch that the bitches would tell you. And the story that you're going to need to replace it with would be, what would your BFF say to you? So if you're in bed one day and you are crying and you can't get out of bed and you're feeling hopeless and weak and, the bitch would tell you, you are hopeless and weak. Don't get out of bed. All this stuff, right? Your best friend would come up to you and say, you know what? You have mascara running down your face and you haven't brushed your hair in 3 days and you still look beautiful and you're having a really hard day, but I'm here to help you get over it. I'm here to help you get out of bed because you're not hopeless. You're not a failure. You're this, you're this, you're this, so I guarantee you that story that you're telling yourself is the bitch story, and what would your BFF tell you would be the story you'd want to replace it with. So lots of things. It's a big topic, but that's my overall blanket statement answers. So first, identify what is the story that you want to let go of. Why do you want to let it go? Why is it not serving your life? You do want to remind yourself of the pain that it's giving you, because the story isn't actually your safe haven. What's not true about it? What is true about it? And then what's the new story going to be? So I hope that helps, Nikki, and let me know if you have any other questions.